So here recently on the channel, we've been previewing several position battles that I think are going to be compelling and by extension, college football fans need to be aware of. And with that in mind, today we're turning our attention to Norman with the Oklahoma Sooners, because the Sooners have a position battle that's going to be paramount to the success of OU in 2023, but it's not getting a whole lot of press. And today we need to both preview it and then talk about why this is flying under the radar, even though it's so important. Before we can, as always, y'all know the drill, I have got to hear from you. Hop down to the comments, give me a Y for yes or an N for no. Are you excited to see what this offensive line looks like for the Sooners in 2023? And let me know what you're thinking. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. Hit that bell notification. I do constant college football content. You don't want to miss any of it. And if you enjoyed the content, be sure to like and comment down below. Those interactions seem small, but they truly are massive to content creators such as myself. But with all that being said, let's dive into this, and I'd like to address the second point first. Why the offensive line battle is kind of flying under the radar, even though it's so important. And for that, I have two answers. First and foremost, who the offensive line coach is, Bill Bedenbaugh, because he has done this time after time after time. And when we look around college football, there are certain rooms, there are certain coaches that you just give the benefit of the doubt. When we look at the Alabama Crimson Tide, whenever they lose defensive linemen to the NFL, you don't hear a whole lot of segments on your college football program of choice saying, what are they going to do with that defensive line? We're super worried about it. Why? Because history has proven that's a position they're going to figure out, much like Georgia's defensive line and Oklahoma's offensive line. It's a position that history has shown us they're going to get right far more often than they get it wrong, and especially under the direction of Bill Bedenbaugh. Just look in the NFL. Look at the NFL offensive linemen that have come from Oklahoma that have been coached by Bill Bedenbaugh, and it begins to paint the picture of why they are so excited about this offensive line and why, even though you lose your starting left tackle, your starting right tackle, and your starting right guard, you don't hear a whole lot of people concerned, because Bill Bedenbaugh understands that the best way for success is by protecting yourself. And speaking of protecting yourself, this is exactly why I'm so excited to talk about today's sponsor, Aura. Did you know that in 2022, the United States had its second worst year ever in terms of data compromises? And not only was it the second worst year in terms of data compromises, but there was a substantial amount of capital loss coming in at $10.2 billion in 2022 alone, which is exactly why I'm so excited to talk with you all about today's sponsor, Aura. Anybody can find anything online, including your name, address, phone number, or even your relatives' information. And all of this is possible because data brokers selling your information to scammers, telemarketers, robocallers, or anybody that wants to learn more about you. But this is exactly where Aura comes in. Aura will help you identify these data brokers and submit opt-out requests on your behalf, and they will even opt you out of junk mail and telemarketing lists. If you use the link shown on screen and found in the description, Aura will hook it up with 2 free weeks so that you can see just how many people are after your data. Plus, Aura monitors your emails and passwords to see if they were involved in a data break and exposed on the dark web, and will give you recommendations on what to do. Aura has a VPN, a password manager, real-time credit and identity theft monitoring, internet parental controls, and protects your devices from malware. It truly is the one-stop shop for user protections. Plus, they offer different bundles so that you can either take care of yourself or the whole family at an awesome rate. So let Aura keep you safe. Go to the link in my description to claim your 2 free week trial and start protecting yourself online. Once again, go to aura.com/ATTS to start protecting yourself online with a 2-week free trial, link in the description. Thank you so much to Aura, and back to the video. But the second reason I don't think Oklahoma fans are too worried about the offensive line battle is because we got to see what this offensive line could look like against Florida State, where against Florida State, Oklahoma was without their left tackle, their right tackle, and their right guard, and even very early into the game, Jacob Sexton, who came in relief of Harrison, was injured and he was replaced by Aaron Parks. So through that game, you had Aaron Parks at left tackle, you have McCade Mature at left guard, you had Congle at center because Andrew Rame had been hurt a month earlier, I believe he had surgery. At right guard, you had Savion Byrd, and at right tackle, you had Tyler Guyton. And in that game, the offensive line for the Oklahoma Sooners did a really solid job at the very least keeping them in. Now, don't get me wrong, there is still ways carries and growth in the passing game. Dylan Gabriel was pressured, and I believe the Seminoles had 6 sacks, but where the Sooners' offensive line really shined is in the run game, and that makes complete sense. I'm not going to talk about this long. If you've tuned into the live streams, you've probably heard me say it. Whenever you have an offensive line that's kind of a quote-unquote patchwork offensive line, you have some starters out, you have some new guys in, some guys who don't have a ton of experience, I am not surprised whenever I look at the statistics at the end of the game and they're succeeding in run blocking as opposed to pass blocking. Why? Because you're firing off, initiating contact as opposed to catching someone. It's the same reason I say I'm not surprised when offensive linemen don't play year one, because the skill gap is so large between high school and college. Because you could be going up against someone who's a senior who's been in a strength and conditioning room for 4 years, and now you're in your first start at tackle, and you have to catch this individual coming off the line of scrimmage and try and contain them. That's really difficult to do. But where Oklahoma fans need to be excited is how effective they were in the running game. That's where I think a silver lining comes in. But now let's really preview this, because whenever we look at this, there are some areas I'm really excited for, specifically this center position. Andrew Rame wasn't available during Florida State because of his injury, and Kongol came in, and my question is, who's really going to wrap up this center battle? Because it seems like it's ping-ponged back and forth, and Andrew Rame has held it down for the majority of the time, it seems like, but Kongol has been right there. Every time I've heard Rame's name, I'm quick to hear Kongol right after it. So I'm super interested in the center, but I'm really interested in these tackle positions. You're not going to lose both tackles and that not be an area we're talking about. Luckily for the Sooners, you have a guy at right tackle I'm very excited for. Tyler Guyton. Now, whenever he transferred to the Sooners, I talked about him and talked about the ceiling he possesses, and it makes a ton of sense why he got so much opportunity. Because Bill Bedenbaugh sees his ceiling, they see his upside, and they want to make sure they continue to develop him, because I think he is going to be a really solid player. I think one of the things that Oklahoma did really well is in recruiting, they got some big wins on the trenches, both in terms of traditional recruiting means and out the transfer portal, where in traditional recruiting means they signed top offensive lineman Caden Green. They got Joshua Bates, they got Logan Howland, and Heath Azetta. But during the transfer portal, they took 2 individuals, offensive guard Caleb Schaefer and offensive tackle Walter Rouse, who came from Stanford. Both of those names are guys who could shake up this position battle. Both of those names are guys who could find playing time. But luckily for the Sooners, you're now looking at a situation where you say, okay, Tyler Guyton came in, played very well. Savion Byrd came in, really impressed. Rame, Kongol at center, how's that going to go? You look at your other guard, you had McCade Mature. Could Caleb Schaefer come in there? Could someone else come in there? Great competition, iron sharpens iron. And then you look at your left tackle. Could it be Walter Rouse? Possibly, but Jacob Sexton is another name. And at the end of the day, these guys are going to push each other, making everybody there better, which is exactly what you like to see. We talk about this all the time. Iron sharpens iron. So is this an important position group for the Oklahoma Sooners? No doubt about it. And it is a position battle that we must preview, because Oklahoma did a great job in recruiting. They did a great job in the transfer portal, and they have some guys already on campus and on roster that they're excited about their futures. But this is a position group that will have the keys to the success of the Sooners in 2023. And I'm not going to be surprised at all to see the Sooners in 2023 be a real run-heavy team, especially with the 2 running backs they feature, and with the offensive line having so much new. We already know a lot of these guys are really proficient in run blocking. Pass blocking will come, no doubt about that. But I just think you have your recipe, and I can't wait to see it. But I'm really interested in hearing from all of you. Hop down to the comments, let me know what you're thinking about this position battle, and let me know what you're really excited to see. That's it. See ya.